Okay, guys, welcome back to the Sisters Show. It's your favorite sisters, Jackie and Athena. This week, we are not going to joke around with you like we did last week. I know a lot of y'all loved our girl math, and I literally couldn't control my laughter with you, Athena. You were so funny. I had
Too
so many
good.
people message me saying how funny you are about your girl math. But
My
we
brain,
today,
I kept telling everyone my brain's a very special place in there.
yeah, no, it's
The
one of
f-
my faves. My favorite places to be is my sister's brain. So today we are going to talk about something that is going to ruffle feathers, and that is my fave. And that is the unpopular opinion that imitation is the highest form of insecurity. Let me
yeah.
say it one more time. Athena and I think that imitation is the highest form of insecurity. We're going to dive deeper into this topic, and because all of us here listening, I know Athena knows this about business, there's a big difference between admiring someone and wanting to be more like them and taking on some of their characteristics, and straight being a Lifetime movie insecure psychopath. And so, Athena, I'm going to let you dive a little deeper into that.
Yeah. So I think that like we always hear the quote, imitation is the highest form of flattery. And I just don't agree. I think that we're we always hear that, and you're so used to kind of thinking like, oh, I'm gonna like look after this person, or I'm gonna copy this thing, and like it should be a compliment, right? Like I see
Exactly.
something someone else is doing and imitating it, and like that's the biggest compliment. No, babe, that means you're unoriginal. That means that you're insecure, and I think it kind of acts as like a comfort to people to be able to say like, well, this person is having this characteristic or this way of doing something, so I'm going to copy it, and because they're successful or it did something good for them, it's going to do something good for me. And I think a lot of people think it is a compliment. In reality, it's not. And I am not, I think we can both attest to this. I have never in my life, I'm not a jealous person. I never have
Yeah.
been. I've
Don't
never,
have it in
I'm
me.
I never look at people and have that like jealous bone in my body of like, I want to be like that, and why do they get something that I don't? I've never been like that in my life. But I
Same.
have been around people, and I have had people in my life, and I'm sure you've had people in your life that they don't want to see you succeed, and
Yeah.
they don't want to see you do better than them. And I think that the topic of friend relationships especially is a very hard and complex type of relationship, and I think it becomes very difficult if you surround yourself with people that want you to do good but never better than them, which I think
Right.
is a whole other
Podcast episode.
very, yes, and very difficult thing to deal with in your personal life. But um when it does come up that you have someone in your life that you feel like is just kind of always one step behind you, but for some reason always seems to be like kind of where you're at, I think it is important that you take a step back and think about this person's presence in your life, because I think more times than not, it's probably a negative thing.
Yeah, it's like copycats. You have to figure out, do they want your life? Like, is this person, like, would she get in bed with my husband kind of thing? And like, unfortunately, most women are that way. And that fine line, just because I have been so naive with the successes that I've had in the last 5 years in businesses and things like that, because I just assume, Athena, that everyone thinks like me, that everyone's kind,
Yeah.
and that everyone, and I'm not perfect. You know, I go from zero to like, I'll cut you in a second, but I do have this very high tolerance, or I did, let's say I did, for shittery. And I'd say, oh, well, they didn't mean it that way. Or, she might be like buying everything that I buy and dressing exactly how I dress. And I tried for the longest time in friendships for me personally, and even it could be family, where I tried to like take on that mantra that it's flattery. But I feel like so quickly it turns dark, right? Like I think back to high school, which was, 500 years ago for me, but like it's one thing, Athena, when I use, like I know that between you and I think that's one of the purest things about our relationship and true sisterhood, and you can have that in friendships. And I know you have it, Athena, and I don't have it currently, only with like one person that's not, you or my husband. But it's so hard. No one talks about when you're in your 30s how hard it is to find true friends and friends that literally want to see you do better than them, to lift you up. And like I always say, like, who do you share good news with?
Yeah.
And I know that you have that right now, and I hope that that never changes for you. But copycats usually have something in their core that's based off of insecurity. Coco Chanel said, if you want to be original, get ready to be copied. My entire life, and it could be someone that knows me from high school that's still following me or listening along, which I still have people like that I respect and love, literally from kindergarten, that we still keep in touch. They'll say, that makes sense about her. Because when I was in high school, when all the girls were sitting and taking, 45 minutes to get ready and do their blue eyeliner, I would roll out of bed 10 minutes before first period in sweats, put my hair up in a messy bun. Like I never was following what everyone else was doing. And so I realize that not everyone is a leader. And I understand that not everyone knows how to be original. And I have built these online presences and communities based off of my originality. I homeschooled before 2020. I looked at ingredients before it was Gucci, to do that. And these are just small examples for me to tell you, but I don't know how we can dive deeper into this, because yes, it's insecurity, but there is imitation that isn't. And so like for me, for instance, if I ever see someone in business or like a social media that I admire, or a podcast, for instance, that I love how they're doing it, the difference between being a serial killer on Lifetime that needs to be like checked into a facility, which I have come in contact with those women, that like literally it's like, really, you're gonna put pink in your house now, bitch? Like, can you just find a new color? And look, I don't
giving
own
stalker.
Pink. I don't own pink, but like it's
stalker.
a little obvious when you're like, this with someone and then they just take on your whole effing personality, bro. But anyway, you can look at someone and admire someone and want to be like and take different things about them on, but make it your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the difference, is be original, be inspired, but make it your own. And man, everyone at the top, which I'm barely there, and people be like, nah, bro, you're there. I'm not there yet, because I know my potential and what I need to do here on this earth. But it's like those sayings, like they're collaborating, they're not competing. This imitation bullshit goes back to that competition. When you wake up and you have the mindset of it's me versus me, and like, for instance, in my boutique, when I do drops or when I did drops over the summer, I was just buying what I liked. I didn't know if anybody was going to like it, but they did. And so I have this homeless / bougie style, and there's no in between with that. And I feel like it always goes back to, you just don't know who you are. Like you don't, and don't get me wrong, I have mentors. There's people in my life that are, have lifted me up and inspired me in moments where I didn't know who I was, what I was, and where I'm going. So I'm not saying that like we all have this figured out, but to my core, Athena, and I know you know this, like I know who I am. I know what I like. I wrapped my boat pink because I'm the pink queen over here. And also, it's like, don't be afraid to change. Like we all have got these damn Stanley Cups, right? Does that make us copycats? We're not saying that, right? So what for you, Athena, is the fine line? You have a friend in your life, they like your sweatshirt. Oh my gosh, I love your sweatshirt. They go buy the sweatshirt. At what point does it turn serial killer, stalker for you?
At what point? I think that I want to be able, okay, so here's the thing for me, and I'm a very big talker with my friends. I love having deep conversations with my friends. I have a few friends
Same.
that I have really like I could sit for hours and just talk and talk, and we can sit and talk. And I think that the way for me and my brain that I can kind of tell is, am I able to like hold a conversation with you about things about life, whether it's business or your career or your relationships or your future or your past? Am I able to like have a conversation with you that's just a developed, you know, like I don't want to be talking to someone and it's like they're not able to contribute their
Mm-hmm.
beliefs or their opinions because they're reflections of just like what I'm saying, or they just like ask questions and there's no ability to actually converse. I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes sense, but
Yeah, no, it
I don't
does.
know kind of how to put it into words, but I feel like if I have a conversation with you and we're actually able to like ask each other questions and like really like dive into like different opinions or like beliefs that we have, and I'm not just like like talking to the choir. Like I hate that. Like I hate having conversations with people where I feel like I'm ranting and going off about something and like there's
Yeah.
no reciprocation. And I feel like I don't want to be friends with people or talking to people that just like repeat what I say or feel like they can't bring something up. Like I know people think maybe sometimes I'm like a stone cold bitch. I get it. It's fine.
Me
But
too.
I feel like sometimes I've talked to people, I've been friends with people where I'm like, do you have a like do you have a personality there on the other side? Like I want to have a meaningful conversation with you about whatever we're talking about. And I
Yeah.
feel like for me, that's when I start to feel like, okay, like is anyone in there? Because like I said, I don't know. To me, it just, I want to be able to talk to someone and feel like we are having a meaningful, thoughtful conversation. We don't need to agree on everything. We may be talking about whatever it is we are, but I don't know. It kind of freaks me out when I'm talking to someone and it's just like a sounding board of my own brain.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's almost like you feel like they're like studying what you're saying so that they can say the right thing next to be like in your good favor.
eg- exactly. That's actually exactly what I'm trying to say that you just said. Um, I just feel like I don't
You
know.
feel that
I've
kind of energy, Athena. Like I
yeah.
feel that when I walk in a room and, I'm talking to someone, whether it be someone I've known forever or someone I've known for 3 years or someone I just meet, like you can tell that they're trying to see what you like almost and like waiting for their opportunity to, yeah, I am not a fan of that. But again,
No.
it goes back to insecurity, right? So it's
Yeah.
like when people, like, how do I say this? I want you to know that as your big sis, I have used other brands and successful women that I admire online, and I've built my own identity and my
Yeah.
own vibe around how they did it. And I think that for me is the difference. Like, I don't need to have everything be burnt orange and we all wear Carnhart hats to like match that vibe, or you know what I'm talking about when people like
Yeah.
everyone has the braids and everyone wears the hats, or everyone, like, I don't want to attract a community where everyone is the same. That's not my
Yeah.
vibe. Like I want people who like purple and blue and cheetah and,
Yeah.
do you see
And
what I'm
you
saying?
know what?
Like,
I feel like that's one of the reasons why you did grow a platform because you do have a very unique presence. And I feel like a lot of creators that I've seen, and as someone like I'm 20 years old, so I'm talking about like people that are maybe on the younger side that have
yeah.
platforms in whatever their niche is, fashion, food, beauty, whatever it is. Like I don't I'm more likely to follow someone on Instagram or TikTok, whatever, having a unique platform. Like we've
Yeah.
seen the same thing over and over and over again. And this is not
Yeah.
meant to be like a, a Instagram business,
Social media.
whatever. But it's like there is something about like when you go on someone's page and they have something very unique about them that makes you attracted to that. Like,
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. And that's one of the reasons why I believe in our podcast so much, is because it's so original. And like, this came from literally nothing. Like, this came from us just talking, you know, us sharing our ideas, our passions with each other. This kind of started to sprout up, and like, that's why this is so, I don't know, like, that's why this is so, you know, like, we're just practicing. Like, this is not the best it's going to be, and it's not the best it's going to get.
No,
because
we're definitely just fading out this podcast
exactly.
right now, but so, we have like, just gotten started.
Exactly. And I feel like everything grows upon each other, and me and Jackie, we're sending each other content and ideas all day long. So
all day long from other creators too, but we want to make it our own.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about social media. If you are a creator, or you are someone that gets very inspired, or you're in like a passionate creative industry, is that you can get so much ideas and inspiration from people around you and make it into your own. And I think it's really cool and really beautiful. And that's, again, why I'm so passionate about our podcast, because everything that we do, we have a reason for it. And it's not just because like, oh, it's a trend, or it's because we actually want to, and it's us, and it's 100% us. And everything that we put on this platform is because it's 100% us. So I think that there's a lot of creators out there that just do things because it's like,
it's trending.
Exactly.
Like, big sis talks are in right now. Let's go there. We're the sisters show. We were already there and saw a need for big sis talks, you know?
Everything that we are putting out, whether it's in our actual episodes or on our social medias, like, we are putting so much thought into everything because it's coming from us, and it's coming from our creative juices and our passion. And 1,000 people could have the same sister podcast with their sister, but no offense, there's nothing like the OG. So, I mean, you can copy, but it's just not the same. And if that offends you, then you're proving our point correct. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if
agree.
That offends you, then that's exactly the issue. So I think that if you're so secure and confident in what you're doing, whether in whatever it is in your life, in your, you know, your decision to move, or in your decision to pursue a different career option, or whatever whatever decisions you might make are, if you're so confident in them, then you shouldn't feel the need to, you know, look at other people and copy that, because you know what you're doing. And you know why you're doing it.
Yeah, it always comes down to collaboration over competition, right? So it's like, I love this about you, whoever you is. Can you teach me how to pull that out in me? And that's where my platform, and like, I'm getting more into coaching other women to figure out, like, what is your niche? What are your passions, you know, outside of mom and again, a podcast episode for another day, is like, you kind of lose yourself in motherhood, Athena. And I'm going to be your wisdom-filled big sis, making sure that doesn't happen. And obviously it comes in seasons one day when you have your family. But, you know, I think that happens when you move from a certain place. I've had this whole like midlife crisis of like, what's my style now? I live on an island, and, you know, that will happen for us as sisters, and we watch it. But, you know, like I always say, you hold space for that.
So I have a question for you, and something you said earlier kind of like sparked it, but do you feel like in your 30s that you have dealt with more people as you get older that have this type of insecurity about their own self? Do you feel like you've just become more aware to it as you've gotten older, or do you feel like as you've gotten older and had a family and, you know, developed into who you are, that there's actually just more people as you get older that are like that?
So I think one of the hardest things for me to tell you as a 36-year-old woman is that nothing changes from middle school. And I think that that's a really hard one for strong women to wrap their minds around. women who don't view other women as competition, like myself, women who know who they are. I'm not saying perfectly. I had bad days. I cry. But no, I think that it's not that I'm this so successful Lamborghini, whatever anybody thinks, success is. It's like you can be jealous of a homeless person if you don't know who you are. It's me telling you as your big sis that nothing changes from middle school. In fact, it's more embarrassing to see women in their 30s, 40s, 50s still in competition and not able to be happy for those around them. Because narcissism goes from 80-year-olds down to toddlers. And I think we all have that in us, that like dark side, that if you allow yourself, you can continually be a narcissist. And I mean, I used to think it wasn't a real thing until I dealt with one recently. But, I'm definitely more aware. So it's both. It's nothing changes from
Yeah.
middle school. And then it's I've done the inner work that I can spot jealousy, envy, insecurity like that now. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Like, it's desperate. I have to also, as a woman, because I have 4 sons to raise, I have a teen now, I have a marriage that I'm trying to break cycles that we both don't come from, function. We come from dysfunction, and that takes work. And so I really have to guard myself because I do have that terrible trait, which is good and bad, but can lead to so much pain that it's like puppy dog syndrome. Like, I want to like help everyone, and the mom in me is like, oh, but they have so much potential, right? So there's been people in my life that I've done business with because I see their potential, but they can't see it in themselves, and they don't do the work on themselves, and then they take on my entire persona, and it won't work for them because it's inauthentic. And I think that this is like a disease these days with social media and the competition and comparison and all that. It's like no one is original anymore. Everybody wants to follow the trends. And so when you know who you are and are authentic, you can spot that. Like, I can see that in our podcast. I can tell when someone's really just owning who they are. I might not like what they're saying, but damn it, that's cool that they're saying it, Like, I don't like your outfit. I would never be caught dead in that person's outfit, but I love that they don't give a crap and they're just showing up in their outfit, And so I think,
and I think that's what separates real unique personalities from copycats is you can tell. And there's something about being able to see someone that has a unique personality or platform or way that they a way that they show themselves off, that if you are like that, you're attracted to that, I feel. How do you feel like you can, one, recognize someone like this in your own life, and then 2, what do you do once you recognize, like, oh crap, like, this person is not wishing for my success, they don't want the best for me, and in fact, if anything, they're just trying to be me, or they're trying to be the person that I am and live the life that I am?
Okay, so for me, I've recently just dealt with this, and I know it will come again, and I also know that it runs rampant in families. One of the saddest things is a mother jealous of their own daughter, right? And I don't have that, but that's plaguing families around the world. It's because of how people are so into themselves and live in the past, and I don't know how that works. Like, mom's jealous of their kid, what? But that's a bad example because you and I aren't dealing with that, but that's true, and it happens all the time. But I think I bring that up because I want to just point out that it's not just in friendship, it's in family. And
I didn't even like think about that, but now that you said that, like, I can think of so many relationships just in general, like, not that I necessarily know, but just like, wow, like, even like like parents, children, siblings. I like didn't even think of that.
it's not just friendships, right? So it's like, let's open our mind and see that this is also plaguing families, right? It could be a father and son, a mother and daughter, a cousin and a cousin, sisters, it could be. And it destroys families. And how I identify people is a 20 million part, essay. It's like the number one thing to make you really know, I think, is you need to trust your instincts. The TikTok thing, red flag, green flag, yellow flag, like listen to that. It's so important. It's real. It's so real. And so looking back, I've even found, like, because I like to journal, I found a journal of myself literally writing in the journal 3 years ago that I didn't trust this person in my life and I need to watch it. Yes.
No, you didn't. You didn't tell me that. Wow.
It's right here. Okay. And I was going through it and I was like, oh my gosh, let's see the date. July 29th, 2022. And it's in this. And this said person, and the world doesn't know, and this podcast sure as shit isn't going to know, literally, what happened. And so, that I'm like, why?
Do you know what the crazy thing about that is, though, and why we're even bringing this up, you guys? Like, it's not just to spill tea. Like, that whole situation, which will eventually be on this podcast one day, it all definitely stemmed from insecurity, and it all stemmed from from this person not knowing who they are clearly, because for you to go on an absolute warpath, you have to have something inside of you
and my livelihood.
Right. So you have to have something. Yes, you have to have something inside of you that you are so discontent and unsatisfied with your own life that you want to destroy whatever you can. And someone that
on the way out.
Exactly. Someone that is secure and confident and sure of who they are and the decisions they make and of their family and their relationships would never have the time to do such a thing. And that's just the facts. And once,
I'm glad you brought that up and cut me off with that, because
and that's why this is coming up. Like, we're not just bringing it up for giggles. Like,
fun.
People that are like this are so dangerous and
so dangerous.
And I have seen firsthand this experience, and that's why I'm so careful, because after everything that I've seen firsthand, like, it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying that someone like this that has these type of personality traits can be so close to you and you don't know unless you're hyper aware of it. And it's terrifying. Like, someone can get so close to you, to your family, to your business, to your life, and have such bad intent and such bad ill, and they're so insecure in who they are,
and such like premeditation and manipulation and just all of it.
It's so important, because I promise you, like, I've seen firsthand how it can be so toxic and destructive. So if you're listening to this and like you have someone in your life,
your red flags are going off,
listen to yourself, because there's a reason for that. And if you are even somewhat aware of the person you are, you know what's good for you and what's not. And if you have those type of feelings about a certain person, like, you need to actually listen to them, because when you don't, that's when it can have detrimental effects on just even your mental health and your life. Because people like that, jealous people that are so insecure and unhappy with themselves, who they are, whether it's what they look like or what their marriage or their relationships or them as a parent or them in their career. They're so insecure in their career. Like, they will go to whatever lengths they have to so that they think it'll make them feel better. It really doesn't, but they want to see other people not succeed, and they want to see other people fail so that they can feel a little bit better about themselves.
Yeah, and it's so sad, and I have pity for those people, and I have prayed for this specific person and the parties involved in what I went through this year. But at the same time, there's ships going down. So,
Yeah.
God sees everything, and people would say karma, whatever you believe in, when I'm not perfect, like I've made mistakes, and I know you've made mistakes. And like we've talked about, looking in the mirror and being able to be like, yeah, I fucked up there, I messed up there, I shouldn't have did that, or whatever. But when you see someone in your life that has the capability to go through the steps that certain persons or person went against me this year, I am just like in awe. The next thing I want to say is, if you imagine if you took that toxic energy and put it into something positive, like we all have the power and ability to, be triggered. But being triggered is a reflection of me. If you trigger me, or if someone does you wrong, and then you go on this campaign of hate and canceling and narcissism and lies and truth and all of it, at the end of the day, when you put your head on your pillow and you tuck your kids in bed and you have a spouse in your bed or you don't or whatever, you can't possibly feel good about yourself. And then I'm like, where do you find the time? Like,
Yeah.
damn, girl, you've got way too much time on your hands. And so
Yeah.
that's where I can say, like, Athena, as your big sis, let me walk through these trenches first, because if somebody does this to you in the future, I'm gonna kill them. And I mean that. Like, don't F with my sister, or any of my sisters, or any of my people for that matter. See, the problem with me, Athena, and the question that you asked me is, I'm so quick to roar like a lion from the ones I love, but here's what I had to learn this year, is to roar like a lion for me. And my childhood did not prepare me for that. My parents, my life, even my spouse didn't prepare me for that. I have never found the worth in myself. And I could say all day long, I'm original. I am freaking original. I've always been a leader. God made me that way. And you too, by the way. But there's people out there that struggle in that area, and I love them. And we're all different. And that's the beauty of sisterhood. But ultimately, down to our core, we need to work on boundaries. It all comes down to boundaries again, too. If I listened to my little journal entry from a year ago, or I was a little more in tuned and didn't have puppy dog syndrome, thinking I could change and help everyone, I wouldn't have walked through what I walked through this year. And, I will never stop saying this. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And you know what? I don't need any friends at 36 years old. Not if you're in competition with me, not if you're insecure, not if you don't know who you are, not if you can't be effing original, not if you are jealous, not if you want my husband, not if you're jealous of my life. And I don't want to raise my sons to think that imitation is flattery. I'm going to raise them. I'm going to say imitation is flattery because you're always going to be 10 steps ahead of the copycat, but watch yourself. Check your back. I'm not trying to make you paranoid, Yanni, but if your friend keeps wearing your same outfit, shopping the same places you do, and doing
Yeah.
exactly what you do, you got to low-key watch that narcissist, bro, because that
Yeah.
shit will bite you in your ass. That's how I'm feeling right now. And I'm not saying,
Yeah.
you know what? Hold it for me. Hold the space. Maybe I'll change my mind in a year. Maybe God's going to bring me, two great sisterhoods in my life. So I'm not saying that, I can't change on this. But what I just walked through this year and what I've found to be true, imitation is not flattery. Imitation is a red flag, bro. Red flag.
Yeah. And I also think about, we said earlier, we are not those type of girls. I've never been that type of girl. I really haven't. And if you know me in real life, I'm always I want everyone to be better. We can all sit at the table. I could sit and talk to all my friends, and one of my best friends, we have conversations all the time about, she'll come to me with something she wants to do, and I'm like, okay, so why aren't you doing it? Make it happen, babe. And I'm such a girl's girl in that sense. Like, I want everyone to succeed. Like, I don't want to be the most successful out of all my friends. Like, I want us
No.
all to be sitting at that table. So I think like we're not those type of women and people. I feel like we've been talking about our side. Like, for the people that do feel like they tend to fall into that and are always acting in that way, like, you will get tired. Like, that will have such a negative effect on your mental health and your self-worth.
So bad.
You will never,
So bad.
you will always
So bad.
feel inauthentic. You will always feel
Yeah.
inauthentic. You will never
And that's toxic.
feel
That's toxic for your nervous system. That's toxic for everything.
right. And I think that, which is something that sometimes I like, think about this. Sometimes, like, we talk all the time that we have imposter syndrome. And
All the
this
time.
is something that I'm so excited to talk about. Like, this is like an episode that is going to happen in the right time. But I think that I don't struggle necessarily with imitation, but I do struggle with imposter syndrome. And I think that
So do I.
they do go hand in hand sometimes, because
Yeah.
it's almost like the opposite. Like, you think you aren't worthy of something, and
Exactly.
so you almost like you hide from that, and you might hide from making certain decisions, or talking through certain things, because you're just like, no, like, I don't deserve that. I'm not worthy. Maybe it's the way you grew up, or maybe it's the way that you've just been taught and made to feel your whole life that you're not worthy of something. Or
Yeah.
you're insecure in your own work that you've put in, and you're like, well, I should have put in more, or else I'm not worthy of this thing. So it's 100% real. And if you are someone that feels like you fall into that, like, inauthenticity, it's definitely something to try to work on within yourself, because if you don't, I think it's going to lead to a very non-fulfilling life, because
Yeah.
you will always feel like you're living in someone else's shadow. With all that being said, I feel like it's just really important that we all remember how important it is to really evaluate the people in your life, and making sure that you are staying true and authentic to who you are, and just staying confident, and fake it till you make it. Sometimes that's what you got to do. And so I just want to close this out, and we love you guys so much. We have so many exciting things happening very soon, and we literally cannot wait to share this with you guys. It's actually painful keeping something secret, but it's going to be pretty epic, and I'm just so excited for everything we have planned. So we love you all, and have a good rest of your week.